So welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Reese. So the other day I made like curried pork to take to potluck, and everybody was like, oh my god, this is so amazing. I told one of my best friends, Nicole, about it, and she was like, okay, I have to try that out. I've never had curried pork. And she tried it. She's like, I've made it twice now. Like, it's so good. And I'm like, pork is the new chicken. Like, let's be clear on that. So the key thing that what I do is I brine it in some sugar and salt water. I don't measure, I kind of just eyeball it in terms of the amount of salt and the amount of sugar I put in. And then I leave it to brine about an hour. And then what I do is I fry a piece of it once it's done brining, just to taste how much salt is in it, because then you don't want to add any more seasoning if it's already salted. Because what I find is if the longer you brine it, the more salt it takes. When you're cooking it down in the curry, that salt just comes out into the sauce, and you do not need to add any salt at all, and the meat is flavored all the way through. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add salt. Like, I just kind of eyeball it, kind of just see, and that should be good. I think that's enough. And then this is sugar, so white sugar. And then I kind of do about the same amount of sugar, equal parts. So if you want to, if you want to measure it, then just kind of do equal parts. I think some people say more salt than sugar. I try to do a little bit equal parts, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add water that I bought, purified water, but whatever water that you're using, whether it is filtered water, etc., it's fine. So this, I'm just gonna do it enough that it covers it, okay? So just enough that it covers it, and then swish it around, and obviously make sure that you wash your hands immediately afterwards. So add a little bit more water to that. And then switch it around. And then tomorrow, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna season it, and then tomorrow, which I'm gonna take you through that in a bit, after it's finished brining, we'll come back, like, you know, this whole edit, chop chop, then come back. I'll be like within like, you'll be like, oh, you never left. But I'll brine it for an hour. I season it with a little bit of the curry powder. That's all depends on how much salt has seeped into this lovely pork. Oh, let me tell you. So I get like the pork, it doesn't really matter. I've had it with the pork shoulder, pork butt, the picnic roast. Just chop it up into like 1-inch cubes. That kind of 1 inch, roughly 1 inch or 2 inches. I don't know. Just kind of, yeah, like how, I mean, and also you can buy it where it's like stewed, the stewed pork. Stewed pork, already cut up. It's a little bit more expensive though than if you just buy the slab of pork. So just trying to make sure that's all incorporated in there, and I don't feel any of the greens on the bottom. Nope, so it's pretty much dissolved, and I literally let this sit there for like an hour. I go and watch right now. I'm watching Lucifer. Catching up on Lucifer. So I will do that, time it about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Some people even recommend doing it overnight. I don't think so, because then I feel like it would be like salted pork, and then you won't be able to get out the salt. So an hour and a half I think should be good. Sometimes I actually leave it for 2 hours. It's fine. It just means that I just don't have to put in a salt when I'm cooking it. That's what that means. So yeah, so that is that. I'm going to brine this now, and then once we're done, I'll come back and I'll show you what I season it with, put it in the fridge overnight, because this is for tomorrow. So I'm brining it. It's better to have the seasons overnight. So do this the day before, okay? Day before, brine it, season it, put it in the fridge overnight. Yeah, and I'll take you through the rest of that and repeat that later for you. All right, see you in a bit. Okay. Welcome back. We finished with our brine. I washed it off. Keep in mind, you can do this with chicken, you can do this with beef. I find, because my mom will tell me, I don't like how you can taste the chicken taste, or I don't like how you can taste the pork taste, or you know, the beef tastes like beef. And I'm like, but that's the meat. Like, what else is it supposed to taste like? So I find by me doing the brine, it takes away, I guess, from that like raw taste of it, like that, I don't know, right taste? I don't know. I tested a piece after about an hour and so, and I found it, the smaller pieces had a little bit of salt, but the bigger pieces not so much. So I'm literally gonna put a little bit of adobo over it just so it can seep in overnight. However, if you brine it and you find that when you test it, you're like, oh my God, it's too salty, add no salt. Like when I say no salt, like no salt, because then it will be too salty when you cook it the next day. All right, so I'm just gonna add a little bit, like sprinkle it over. I know it's hardly coming out because it's a little clumpy, but because it's a lot of meat in here. And then what I do is, this is extra hot curry powder, and it's from it's India, but it's made in New York. But it's an Indian type of spice. What I find, I like the Indian curry flavors better. My brother brought me some from Trinidad, and it was awesome. Like, I need some more. So when my brother comes back from Trinidad, I'll get some more curry, because I find I prefer that curry. I don't know why. So I normally put a little bit of that in, just to kind of make it seep over, not too much, just so it can cover it. It's quite a bit in here, but yeah. Because then when I sear it tomorrow, then I'll find that thing. And oh, I'm using like a glove, because yeah, there's nothing worse than having like curry stained fingernails. And you just kind of make sure it's all incorporated. I know some people like will cut up peppers and put all their stuff in, but I don't like that, because then when I go to sear it, I got like burnt onion in my searing because I didn't get it off, or you know, I got burnt garlic because I didn't get it off before I seared it. So I find I just incorporate that in my curry the next day, and I think it tastes fine. And literally cook it on low, well, medium to high heat tomorrow, but we'll get into that tomorrow. But yeah, so make sure you put on your glove and make sure it's, most of it is covered, I think. It's still a little wet, I didn't drain it enough. So once that is all covered, you've tested it, you fried it, you're like, oh my God, okay, it maybe needs a little bit more salt, so you add a little salt, whether or not you use an adobo. I love adobo seasoning, and nature seasoning, they're my two go-tos. But I found some of the big pieces didn't have enough salt. I incorporated some of the bone too, because obviously I cut up the big chunk of pork. I'm just trying to get this all incorporated. Oh. And I'm just gonna put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the fridge overnight, just so it can seep in that little curry flavor. And then I will see you pretty much in tomorrow, where I'm gonna cook it and prepare it properly. So yeah, so anyways, have a good night. I'm gonna get this in a Ziploc bag right now and put it in my fridge. And then make sure you disinfect everything with bleach, because pork, raw, everywhere. Yeah, so see you tomorrow, which will be in the blink of an eye, or in a second, because obviously this is edited. Guys, so welcome back. It's the next day. So I pretty much took my meat out because I want to get it more to room temperature before I start searing it off in the pan. I used green onions in my seasoning, so I'm going to chop that up. I think we call it scallion, yeah, green onions. So I'll use a couple sprigs of that, a whole onion. Sometimes I use the bigger ones, but I feel like that would be enough since I'm using the spring onion. Sometimes I don't use the green onion here, and I'll just use like a bigger onion. But since I'm using this, then I'll just use that. I use a Scotch bonnet pepper, so I'm gonna chop that up. I don't put the seeds in, I kind of just cut around it, so I'll show you that. once I've prepared that, and I use garlic. So depends on how hot you want it. I don't put the seeds in, I just chop all around the seeds and prepare that. And then I also have thyme as well, so a couple of sprigs of thyme to go in, and I'll take you through everything once we're all done with the chopping up. So yes. Okay, so normally I would have also some seasoned peppers, but there's none in the stores. I love seasoned peppers, like when you're cooking, especially like, you know, Caribbean food. So pretty much I'm using about three of the spring onions, and then we're just gonna chop that up as fine as possible. Got something here. And you can go down the stalk. I normally don't use a lot of the stalk. Yeah, about that much. But so about 3 inches, and then I just discard that. And then I put it into my bowl. Here, that's all chopped up, that's prepared. That's the seasoned thing, my thyme. You can just throw that inside there. Sometimes I put in some red peppers. It kind of just depends, but I find when you use the bell peppers in the curry, it makes it a little bit sweeter. Even though it gives it that color, it kind of gives it more of a sweet taste because I use coconut milk, and that already has like a sweet taste to it. So you want to kind of avoid the sweet taste there. I need to work on my knife skills. Like, I've been watching a lot of cooking shows, and they don't do it like me. And I'm going, I don't do it like them. And I'm like, I need to work on my knife skills. Why I have on the glove is because I'm going to be dealing with the Scotch bonnet, right? So I don't want, because once you get the pepper on your hand, the minute you forget that it's on your hand, so see, I'm cutting around the seeds, and I'm just getting like everything off. Like, a couple of seeds get in, that's fine. It'll just give it that added pepper, because I know, you know, everybody loves like a little hot curry. And then I just kind of throw that away. That is the real hot part. And then you just kind of dice this up as fine as you can get it. And obviously that's why I'm using a glove, because you do not want this on your hand. Oh, I can feel it. I feel the pepper in my eyes right now. Whew, it's making them like water. And then you just kind of make sure it's diced up as fine as can be. Whew, my eyes are watering. Sinus is drained. This is gonna be a good little curry. So trust me, like, I only use like one pepper. Depends on how hot you want it. I don't like it that hot that I can't taste the food. So I normally just use one whole pepper, but don't use the seeds. Right? I threw that part away. And then just dice it as fine as you can get it. As you can see, it's diced pretty fine. Right? And then you put that in your bowl. Put it in your bowl. And that's it. I really wish I had some of the seasoned peppers, because that makes it a whole lot better. And then I'm just gonna add my garlic. We got a spoon for this. So you want, I like a lot of garlic, so about like that much of the garlic. This is a smaller spoon, so I kind of put that much in there, and that's it. And then I'm going to sear the meat now. Once that's room temperature, like, if you can kind of tell it's room temperature, it doesn't really matter if you want to take it out the shirt, because remember, now you're searing it, so even if it seizes up, that's fine. But I try to get it to room temperature. I've done it both ways and it works out fine, because sometimes I wake up late and I forget. But sear the meat, and then I'll take you through that process. So I'm using a combination of coconut oil, vegetable oil, little bit of coconut oil, a lot more vegetable oil. I'm gonna put it on high in this pan. It's a pretty big pan, because see, that's my big burner. So it's about, oh, it's smoking on the bottom. But it's heating up now, so I'm gonna put the oil in and get that up to temperature. So pretty much, let's see now, you want enough that's the vegetable oil, and then I have like a little small bottle that I use for my coconut oil. So like that much coconut oil, because obviously you want it all to mesh well together, right? And the coconut oil, coconut milk, everything, you want all of that to come together really good. Yeah. So I have my bowl here with paper towel on the bottom, because you don't want to have too much oil after you fried it. So I have it on high, the oil is hot, and pretty much what you want to do, I'm going to use my tongs and pick up, and then you start in like a clockwise, and then that way, once you're done finish placing them down, you should be ready to turn over the first one. Because it's just, oh, it's kind of loud now, but it's just to sear it, you know, just to get the juices locked in. And put a couple in the middle. I know I'm all over the place with this video right now. And this is my first one, so I should be ready now. Turn that over. See, it's brown. You see, you just want that nice brown color, and then you just go through turning them over as you go forward. And you just do it in the same order that you place them now. And that's why you keep it on high, because they should not be in here long at all. They should still be raw in the middle. You're literally just searing it. And the ones in the middle should be ready. Just leave that a little bit longer. And then you literally just take them out and pop them into the bowl here. So same order. Once again, the same order that you put them in is the same order that you're taking them out. Oops, sorry. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to finish all of this up and have all of this seared before I start my curry base, which I will come back for after I'm done all of it. And then you repeat the process. Okay, so that's the pork all seared up. If you can see the nice brown color, that's hard to see. Can you see? Yep, that's a little bit better. So you can see the nice brown color on it. So pretty much I got, if you don't have a cast iron pot, that's fine. It works in a regular pot as well. I put in a little bit of butter. So about, I would say that's about 2 tablespoons of butter. And then coconut oil. So just make sure it's coated on the bottom there. Coconut oil. And because what we're going to do now, we're going to burn our curry, right? So you want to burn your curry in the bottom of the pan. I'm trying to get a wooden spoon. This is not the best spoon, but that's fine. All right, so be careful that this butter doesn't burn as well. Okay, so I like I said, the Indian curry, and if you can get it from Trinidad, that's even better. And you don't want to put too much. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little, it's probably good enough for that, because it's kind of a lot of curry. And then what I like too, what I find is the garam masala. So I love garam masala powder in it. It gives it just this a little bit of a, I don't know, it's like it enhances the flavor, I find, but not too much of that. So you want a little bit of that in there, but not too much. I'm just kind of sprinkling it over. That should be good. Yep. And then now you literally want to burn it. So like move it around and like burn the curry. I might have added too much curry to this, but it's a lot of pork. So I'm not that great with measuring. I just kind of taste and see and feel how it is. So you want to burn this, which I'm burning this now. Yeah. And you see it's smoking, yeah? So about like couple minutes, you have it like on a medium high heat. So like see it's a medium high heat, because this is the same stove that was on a high heat. So it would have been a little bit hotter when you put the pot on. So you just want to have that burning in there. And I have my vegetables there ready to go in. Some people will put like potatoes in with it. You can, that will thicken it up, but I don't do that. Not a bit, like if I want to try it, because if I want to try to do it keto style, right? So you just want to have that burnt. And then now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my veggies in. Just make sure all of it goes in. Every last, I can't, I'm using like 2 hands. So all of the veggies go in. Once that's in, you just kind of go around with that. You can see it's like, because you want to cook them a little bit to incorporate that thing. And the pork isn't that salty, but once again, I don't want to add any salt yet, because I want to kind of see how it actually tastes once it's in. But I didn't find it too salty. But once again, you cannot subtract salt, but you can add, so that's not a problem. And once that, you can see like it's just kind of evenly coated. That's like 2 minutes, because you don't want them to overcook them right now, because you want that to cook in with the meat. And then what I do, I add in my can of coconut milk. So just ordinary coconut milk. I'm trying to turn the can around. So just regular coconut milk. I like this one. Obviously there might be different brands where you all are. Shake the can before doing it, before opening it, because it can be there's some settling on the bottom. And then pretty much you want to make that bubble down a bit. And once that's bubbled down a bit, like you'll see the color change and everything from when you make it bubble down. Yeah? Let me bubble down. Yeah, simmer down. Bubble down. Simmer down. Oh, splashing everywhere. So yeah, you'll see the color change a bit. So you just want to bring that to a boil a bit, make that simmer for a bit, and then you add the pork. You don't necessarily have to add water because the pork has some water in it, because obviously remember I was brining it overnight. Well, not overnight, for like 2 hours last night. Okay, so I have my pork in. Might want to be careful when you're pouring the pork in, because there's a lot of oil in the bottom. Even though I put the paper towel in, I found there was a lot, so I just took my time and did it. So what I'm going to do now, just try to coat the pork with all the stuff on the bottom, the coconut milk, the curry, etc. Just kind of, you know, get that incorporated. Then I'm going to put the lid on it and just, you know, leave it on like a medium heat. Probably turn it down a bit, like to about there. Depends on your stove temperature as well. Sorry, I'm all over the place with this video. It's not my setup. So you just want to make sure the curry is all coated over the pork. Okay, and then I will cover it and come back and check it later. Yay. As you can see, it's, you know, got a bit of liquid here from just on that low cook. I tried a piece. I think it needs a little bit more seasoning. Some people may think that, you know, it's fine. Possibly could use a little bit more pepper in my things, but I'm gonna add a little bit of more of the adobo. Love this. Like, this is like crack for meat. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that, as well as, so yep, that, as well as another thing that's like crack for me, nature's seasoning. Love this. So add a little bit of that as well. Some people would just add, like, you know, natural salt, which is fine. Sometimes I add some sea salt, and then make sure you just stir it about. Try not to move the pot like I am. I need to be able to set up that I can just have my camera working, so I need to work on that. That's another in progress thing. So yeah, and then obviously just keep, like, you know, keep coming back, checking on it, stirring it. Obviously keep testing the meat, because it should be cooked to the point where it is tender, like melt in your mouth tender. So this is not quite done yet. Okay, so yeah, just keep coming back and check it. Add pepper if you need to add pepper. Add a little salt if you need to add salt. Sea salt is really good as well, like when you have like the actual sea salt, fine. That's really good. And the Himalayan pink salt is actually really good as well. So yeah, so we are back, and obviously this has gone down really good. I've been tasting it. It's so good. Although I kind of wish I had brined it a bit more. So maybe push your brine into about 2 hours possibly. That way you don't have to add pretty much any salt when you try it out. Like, it should be that when you do the brine and afterwards you fry it, you're like, oh my god, that's too salty. That's like perfect, because then you don't have to worry about adding anything. But this is like so good, really good. I'm gonna have a bowl now with some rice. Okay, so this is my plate. Normally I do a whole bunch of other stuff, like green banana you can do with it, fritters, etc., whatever you want to do, greens. But I just did some rice with the curry pork, have some of the sauce over it. Oh my god, so tender. Melt in your mouth. If you prefer it a little bit more peppery, maybe 2 Scotch bonnets, but I think this is like absolutely perfect. Just amount of salt. You adjust it to your liking. I can't stop eating it now. It's so good. It's really good. And that is curried pork. Cayman style, I guess, kind of. I hope you enjoy. Like, sorry, my mouth is full. Like, subscribe, share. So good. So amazing. Enjoy.